right. Well, starting off, I would describe sort of where you guys are now before this first mission starts. And as the stars winked and twinkled in the vast expanse of space, you all and your ship, which we just named 5 seconds ago, the quirky Quasarek, otherwise known as QQ, glide effortlessly throughout the void, and your engines are humming in a steady, reassuring rhythm. This is not the greatest ship that you've ever had, that you've ever been on. It's kind of a little bit of a piece of junk, but it works. It works, and it gets you guys from one job to the other. It has a brig, it has a galley, and it has some like very simple crew quarters along with your helm and other sort of essentials. It's not a smuggling ship, not anything fancy. You've got a grappling hook that you can use. You have long range sensors, and you have a jump drive if you ever need to get away or get somewhere quickly. But right now you do have a job. You guys have been together, I would say, you guys give me the thumbs up on this, but I'd say you've been together probably just a few months at this point. You all have a little bit of ship experience in the past, but this crew has done a few simple jobs. But now an alert has gone out through the Cosmonet, which is basically the internet, that there is a way artifact that has been unearthed and subsequently went missing at the Astrogrow conglomerate's solar squash farm. The corporate confederacy promised 10 cred, which is enough to buy, to set the level on that. 10 cred is enough to buy a small ship to whoever finds and delivers the way artifact to the Cosmotech Enterprises capital. But there may be other buyers out there if you want to go that route, or there may be other uses for such an artifact. Nonetheless, you all have not accepted this job. Nobody knows that you're on this job, but you, having seen the bulletin and seeing the payday, have taken it upon yourselves to go to the Astrogrow conglomerate planet in search of said artifact. On board, you are all kind of going about your tasks, unaware of what awaits you. And for starting that journey, as you're gliding through space, we are looking in a cramped cockpit, encroaching on the planet. And we're just going to start with some character introductions. If we, in the cramped cockpit, we find Eric and Sean's characters. Eric, if you want to describe / introduce what you're all about.
Sure. Oscar is just a young kid, barely like 18 or something, and piloting a ship. He's just excited to be flying a real ship. He learned to fly from video games, and here he is.
And
OMW is just his gamer tag. Everybody just calls him Oscar.
and you sort of, in this cramped cockpit, I imagine you to be, this is not high flying piloting time. You're just sort of on cruise control right now, but on a steady approach to the planet. And it's probably at this point that Sean's character sort of pokes up from the hallway to come check out what your status is.
So in walks just kind of a middle-aged guy with a cowboy hat, of all things, of course, because that's what you wear in space. Levi 501 jeans and button-up kind of beat-up flannel. He walks in, looks around a little bit. Hey, Oscar, what do we got going on here? Is that plane getting a little bigger? You getting close to that? Do you know how to drive this? Are you going to be in trouble? You got this?
Got this. It's just, we're coming up on the planet. It's fine.
Well, you know, my daddy once told me, you got to be very careful with these types of things. You got to approach it slowly. You can't go too fast. You have to really be careful because in space and stuff, it's hard, right? Everything's harder in space. So that's what my dad told me, at least. So
Fair. Well, we'll take it slow then.
all right. Did I ever tell you about this investment opportunity that I came across once when I was a young man?
I don't think so.
So there's this thing, or this company. It's called Infinity Fuel Innovations. Let me tell you, this is the deal of a century. I've been squirreling away shares for the last 30, 40 years. I'm telling you, man, I am set to retire when this takes off because it will be the best thing ever. Infinity Fuel Innovations, IFI.
Yeah,
Make sure you buy some.
So it hasn't taken off yet?
No. They got a lot of stuff in the works, but don't worry. It's coming.
Should I? Well, should I get in while it's still cheap?
Absolutely. You buy low, you hold for a while, you don't get scared. Stuff comes up all the time, people bail, but that's when you buy more. And you always keep a little bit of gambling funds on the side, but then you always buy more.
Please buy more. All right.
Your character's name is Harv or Harvey. Do you go by Harv or?
Yeah, Harv, Harvey, Bart, whatever people call me. Don't really care.
And if anybody is curious, in the bottom right corner of this cheat sheet, there is a clock that is the Infinity Fuel stock price. You never know what might affect it, but it's worth keeping an eye on. We'll pull out of the cockpit as we go into the brig of the QQ ship, where, right now, so this ship, being a bounty hunter ship when it was created, has this brig for, transport of people. Presently, you don't really have any people that you're transporting, but what you do actually have is a body. Somebody who has... Well, let me rewind for a bit. Zooming in to the brig, it's sort of set up more as a laboratory, and what is left of a human man. There's a individual that you picked up some weeks ago named Gabriel Saxton, who is laying down on one of the caged bunk beds. Gabriel's the only lead you have in regards to finding the Way artifact, and his body vibrates with a blue glow as Art's character stands over him in this makeshift lab.
Yeah, so essentially you kind of see a ramshackled conglomeration of different limbs put together on a man's body, and it's almost like it was they were laser welded together. Like, you see the welding lines forming into this one main body that looks like his. I mean, it could be his, you don't actually know. But you could tell that even some of the fingers on the arms aren't the original person's fingers of the arm that he has. It's just like a weird grouping of limbs. And he's over this body, kind of just going over the skin and kind of looking through. Did he die on our ship, or did we find him dead and picked him up?
You picked him up.
Okay. So just kind of going through, doing my usual check routine of my previous life and seeing how I'm sorry, you picked him up dead or alive?
You picked him up, he was already dead.
Okay, seeing how he died, trying to figure out the cause of death.
Well, if you'd like, you could initiate the first roll of the game.
Oh god.
Okay. So if you want to open up your character sheet and then click Doctor, when you click these abilities, you'll be given the option of choosing a position and effect. For something like this, it's I will re-describe this later when it's more consequential. For something like this, I would say it's controlled and limited. There's not going to be that many consequences, and it's a pretty safe environment to be doing this. So if you just do controlled and limited for me.
Yes. No modifiers, I'm assuming.
So yeah, unless you're spending, you could spend stress to get an extra dice, but
I'm okay.
So, so in these cases, you take the highest roll of all the dice you got. You had a partial success, which is numbers 4 and 5 on the die, whereas a 6 would be a total success. Partial success means that you would normally suffer like a minor consequence or something like that. In this case, it's not that big of a deal. But what I would say right now, as you're sort of investigating the body and looking into the blue glow, the minor complication you face is that it's sputtering out. You're able to sort of determine that this glow, whatever energy signature is coming from inside this body, is what must have killed him, because there's some like skin degradation around where the glow is, but you see it sputtering out, and any further investigation is likely to be like the insides are becoming more and more damaged over time, so it's really hard to decipher much more than that.
Okay. I'll just kind of like see that the glow's going like diminishing away, and you're like, ah, shit. And then I kind of just put pieces and try to move everything back to where it was normally before that happened. And it's hard, but I take a step away. And if someone's close by, I'll relay information. If not, I'll probably just go find someone.
My imagination would tell me that the person who's could be close by are two people. There's the person keeping the brig clean, and then there's the person who is recording this for content, future content. We'll start with Jacob.
Okay, this is crazy, everybody. Hey, everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Caster. We're here on the QQ, and there's a dead body. It's like really thrilling and exciting. I'm not getting like a ton of like vibes. There's blue. There's a lot of like blue vibes and like dead vibes. And like, you know, like I say I'm like dead on the inside like all the time, but like actually dead. It's like, do you guys want me to do like a reading? Oh my god, let's like do a reading.
So I'm probably still putting the body, back to normal, and I see that Caster is filming this body. I'm like, Caster, do you really think that's a good idea right now?
They love the content. They love the content.
Are you sure? Maybe we should just like hide.
Is this live or?
I'm gonna lean
You guys love the
over and
content,
hide the
right?
face. I'm gonna hide the face. I'm hiding the face.
Try to hide the face, and the camera then goes. Does anyone know who this is? Because like we don't know. But like he's here, and he's like dead.
No. Why don't you explore somewhere else?
Fine. Well, signing off for now. We'll do a reading later, but like, so excited to connect with y'all soon.
Why do you keep dropping your hair everywhere?
I'm sorry I bleached it, and the roots haven't recovered.
Just no regard for your video.
I think eventually, Andro/Caster, stops recording for. It's not TikTok. It's FlipFlop. It's FlipFlop. The new hit craze. And I think would actually like get out of like hyper influencer girly mode, and like wait for permission, but like go in and like try to do an actual reading of like the energy coming from the body and like attune to.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that you are trying to learn through this attunement? Like, what is your goal?
I think my goal is like, honestly, I think it would be fully terrible, and she would do this through a tarot reading. And like, with the 3 cards of it all, like one for the past, like what got him to this place, one for the present. Like, why is he emitting right now? And one for the future. Where do we need to go?
Okay. I would say, I'm going to describe this as I'd say it's a risky position because you don't, when it comes to the way, it's always like you're rolling the dice, so to speak, on what you are opening yourself up to. But we are going to say that it has a standard effect so that you will potentially learn quite a bit from it. If you want a third dice, you can spend 2 stress points. Or if somebody in this room wants to help you, they could spend 1 stress point to help you as well.
Can we get rid of stress?
Like
exhaustion
at the end,
Yeah.
at the end of missions, you indulge in your vices to get rid of stress.
Oof. Okay.
So
then
stress, stress is a resource that you use for like the mission.
Yeah, I think I will, since I think I'm the only one in the room right now. I'll be like, hey, Caster, we just don't know who's watching through those videos. It's just you gotta be careful.
I mean, I get it, but like, I only have like 50K. Like, no one's really paying attention. So,
Ugh. I go into my head of how many people 50K actually is. I'm like, oh, okay. Start to stress a little bit about it, and then help you with whatever we're doing here.
Okay. So go ahead and Art, spend 1 stress, and then when you are doing your tune roll, just make sure to give yourself plus 1d, which is one extra d6.
it's one.
Okay. So the funny thing about this game is like you are always successful on like 4 through 6, and you always sort of fail 1 to 3, which means that you have a 50% success rate all the time, but there's still consequences on 4s and 5s. And so I think you said you were sort of pulling cards for the past, present, and future. I am going to say that you pull out a card for the past, and it is do you want me to sort of like litigate what these cards are, or did you have an idea?
Oh, I absolutely have a random tarot card generator pulled up and ready to go. But also, if you have a more specific
you give me the 3 cards, and I'll tell you what they mean.
Incredible. The past, you have the Hierophant. For the present, we have the 3 of Cups, and for the future, we have the 9 of Pentacles.
Tentacles?
Pentacles.
Oh, pentacles. Okay, wait. I feel like I'm gonna have to be Googling what these things are. So I would say as you're sort of opening yourself up to the way, and I think Ramshackle, as you're supervising, for lack of a better word, making sure that nothing gets too out of hand, you first pull out the Hierophant. What is that? Sorry. Hierophant is... Oh, okay. You pull this out and sort of have a short... Do these render as visions in your head, or is it sort of like interpretation?
I think it is visions that you need to interpret.
Gotcha.
But they're visions.
You see a vision of sort of a protester who was down at the Astroglow conglomerate squash farm, and who had been protesting the lack of kind of like the lack of technological development that was happening within this this planet of agriculture. And you sort of see that like throughout this protest, they had kicked a pile of grain, and that you see like a soft blue glow of something underneath, and the vision that vision disappears as you see them reaching down into it. You don't quite see what they grabbed. The Three of Cups, you look at, how their day sort of evolved after grabbing this artifact, and all you do, you don't actually get that much from it other than that, you see symptoms of sickness that seem to be permeating throughout their body as the soft blue glow appears. And with the last card, the Nine of Pentacles, you actually start to recoil a little bit as you suffer a harm from this. What I am going to, you have a couple options here. If you open up your character sheet, you'll see the harm in the middle, and then there's sort of like 3, 2, 1 in there. Now this is a regular harm, which is a 2. So you have an option to either accept this harm or to try and resist it. If you accept the harm, then until you're able to fix it, you will be getting 1 less die on all of your rolls. So not great. This harm I would describe as being you can write down way powered headache on the harm box number 2. Now you can resist. You guys have a couple options here. You can resist, which automatically succeeds, but you roll a d6. This would probably be under, you'd roll a d6 under resolve, or you'd roll a resolve check and then reduce that number by the amount of stress damage you'll take. So sorry. If you have resolve that you will roll to resist this way powered headache. If you roll a 6, you will take no stress damage. If you roll a 1, then you will take 5 stress damage. Additionally, being as that Ramshackle is nearby, they can choose to take the harm for you. But I'm assuming that's not happening.
Absolutely not. Let's get crazy. Let's try to resist it.
Okay. So go ahead and roll resolve because you're trying to avoid mental strain.
Where is resolve?
Bottom right corner of your character sheet.
Oh, yeah.
It's essentially a saving throw.
Good. And then...
Okay. So, and it says everything here in the chat box as well, but you take 1 stress damage. You resisted 5 of the 6 stress damage that, and you no longer have the way-powered headache.
She just shakes her head and hair floofs out beautifully and perfectly and just goes ew, gross.
You do get the sense, having shaken off the headache, that that Gabriel did not ingest the artifact. The artifact is still down there. It was simply touched and left down there, so you know where to go.
Great. Okay, super cute, super fun, super quirky. He didn't eat it, but he did eat shit, obviously. So we just have to we're on the right path. We're going where we need to be going. And there's some
can't read you. That stresses me out.
Okay.
We'll pull away from this because we haven't actually even started the mission yet. But we briefly introduced our sentient vacuum cleaner. But do you have anything more to add, Millie?
No, I'm about half of the size of all of you, and probably zoomed around a circle while you were filming, picked up some hair, and then zoomed right back out, looking for more things to pick up and eventually probably bring the whole party together.
Amazing.
There is back on the helm. There is a light beeping sound as your long range sensors seem to have detected something.
You're on mute.
Harv, I think I've detected something.
Oh yeah, what you got? What do you got there, kid?
I don't know, beeping.
Well,
I'll
not to be rude, but I can hear that.
do I have like a scanner or something, or do I just need to fly closer to this noise?
Yeah, so your ship is equipped with a long range scanner. I think you all have that. The ship is like down at the bottom of the map if you want to open that character sheet, or it's in the actor tab in the top right corner. So you can open up the ship character sheet if you would like. And in this instance, you could, you sort of have options available to you. You could make a comms roll to sort of activate your long range scanners and try to get more information. Or you could use one of your abilities if you prefer to like try to hack into something. You could roll a hack check. You know what I mean?
Not knowing what it is, I think I'll just try to use the comms thing.
Okay. Feel free to do that. One thing worth mentioning here is that you guys also have what are referred to as gambits, which is basically group inspiration. Anybody can use the gambit at any time and then it's gone. And there are ways to get more gambits back, but if you wanted to use the gambit in this case, you would just let me know and then add one die to the comms roll.
This seems like a pretty normal occurrence. Doesn't seem to be setting off any alarm bells with Oscar, so I think I'll just normal run-of-the-mill comms check.
Okay. Go ahead and do controlled and standard for this one.
How much gambit do we have right now? Does it say?
You start with 1, and it's tracked in the ship character sheet.
Thank you.
Okay. So you scan and your long range sensors detect as you're getting closer and closer to the planet, you're able to sort of successfully narrow down the location of the of what the scanner is picking up, which has a way signature about it, a way magic signature, and it shows that the artifact seems to be you sort of use the scanners and then use like enhance and zoom, and it seems to be like in a silo, like a grain silo, and you sort of like look at the side to try to get an idea of exactly where it is, and it seems that it's a silo that is holding the solar squash that this farm is known for, that you sort of knew about, and it seems to be allocated. This silo in particular, looking at it, it seems like it's allocated for the manufacturing of sunbeam cells. So there's like this massive magnifying glass that is pushing sun into the silo, and it is sort of like baking at extreme hot temperatures. You also sort of, in scanning the area, see that there are a lot of tired workers who aren't going to delay production because you ask nicely. And in a facility like this, for manufacturing the stuff that they're manufacturing, you know that they have security as well. There's the CSF, which is the Corporate Security Force, or corpos that are protecting this facility. You, in running this, you do have a you've currently set yourself up in a little bit of a risky position, which doesn't really affect too much right now. But what I would say is, you know that your scan was detected.
Oh, boss, I think somebody detected our scan.
What exactly does that mean then?
I don't know. They might know we're coming.
Is that a problem?
Hey, I don't know. Aren't these artifact things kind of outlawed or something?
Nah, it's okay. It's okay. Everybody's looking for it anyway. We're just trying to help some people out, do them a little bit of a favor. So, yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. We'll be fine. Just remember,
Right.
slow.
Right.
It's space.
At this point, everybody rendezvous and is sort of caught up with the information. And now is the point in the game where we do what is referred to as the engagement roll. So taking us out of role play for a second, you have several ways that you can approach a mission. And I'm looking for some consensus, not on like the details, but just like the general approach. And I'll try to type this out, whether this is assault, deception, infiltration, mystic, social, or transport. These are like different ways that you can try to get the artifact that you are trying to get. You can either sort of assault by coming in guns blazing, deceive your way into it in some way, infiltrate by being stealthy. Mystic would be trying to like use your connection to the way to either to do something of this nature. Social would be just talking your way in, making deals, etc. And transporting could mean that you're trying to bring your I don't know that transport would actually work for this one, but like you're trying to bring in cargo and take out cargo. You're probably pretending to be some kind of worker here.
How much cargo room do we have on this bounty hunter ship?
Oh shoot, my typing failed. It is not the greatest, biggest ship of all time. But you do have what is referred to as a freighter.
We fit a whole silo's worth of grain, or sorry, solar squash.
All right, sorry, I was failing at typing. It's up to you. You can try to transport as much as you want if that's the game plan you want to go for.
I have no idea.
But so, which one of these approaches sounds like something that you all want to try out this time?
I don't know about you, but I don't see what the big deal is. We're just down here to find something everybody's looking for. Why don't we just talk to them? Just know we need to get in that silo there and figure something out.
I mean, I don't think they want us to have it, so... I mean, if you think you can talk your way in, maybe, but...
But above board, seriously, I'm open for whatever.
I was going to say social too. Let's try it out. Try to make a deal.
Maybe people saw your video and they know we're coming.
Wait, maybe we could like try to get like a brand sponsorship. Like maybe like we could be like, hey, if you let us in, we'll promote your sunny squash or whatever, and like help spread your good squashy mission across the universe, you know?
Okay, so you've chosen social. Now, before I force somebody to make a roll for how your approach goes, what is like the one detail that are you trying to go for the social media sponsorship? Are you trying to just buy it? Like what is the one detail that you're using to get started?
I'm all about the social media sponsorship.
I listen. She has a platform. She's a quote micro influencer on the verge of becoming a macro influencer. This is the step she needs to take.
So to be clear, we're offering to take them on as a sponsor if they provide us the artifact. That's like the payment.
Or just access to the silo, you know.
Or maybe we could be like, we transport your squash somewhere else and sponsor you guys and just take the squash. Maybe they don't know they have the artifact.
I think we want them to sponsor us.
I mean, it could be both. Like, we could I'm pretty good at brand management, so like we could set up like a FlipFlop for the ship itself, and like at the end of every video or just a little clip, we can be like, okay guys, let's just talk about like squash for a bit. And like hype up their product, and then they also like could slap their logo on our ship and give us money and make an artifact.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. So, who would like to make this roll? Who hasn't rolled anything yet?
I think me and the vacuum.
The vacuum. So on the left side of your screen, Sean, kind of like where there's all the buttons, the bottom one, there's a dice or a pair of dice, and it should say fortune roll when you click on it.
The character sheet or on the main screen?
On the main screen. It's one of like the buttons to the left, like the ruler, the drawing tools, and then there's dice. Yep. So go ahead and just type in there for chat log's sake that your social media approach. Now we're going to sort of figure out how much of an advantage you have. How realistic is it that this is going to work in order to give you a number of die? So I'm willing to hear arguments against this, but my feeling is that these folks probably don't get that many social media influencers coming to their solar squash farm. So it's probably a little uncommon for this type of thing to happen. Then again, could be a major opportunity to dip their toes into influencer marketing.
I'm also going to. There's a cat squealing. Hello. You did just say, in flashing back into this person's life, they seem to be very frustrated at a lack of technological progress. And what can we provide but the latest in communication technologies and advertisements?
Fair.
Can I try to hack Caster's like social media something to make it look like she's got like an extra digit of followers? Is that a thing I can do at this point?
If you want to do something like that before the engagement roll, then please feel free. Are you
more followers means they're going to be more likely to like.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a bigger audience for them to pull with. I also propose that in addition to a stock tracker, Caster now also needs a social media follower count.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I will work on that. But so you're going to attempt to hack, I would say. So people can spend stress to help, or you can push yourself by spending your own stress.
I mean,
Harv doesn't have any clue about any of that stuff that you're doing there with that technology stuff. So, sorry, you're on your own there, kiddo.
I mean, I'll put my headphones on and get like a big thing of Mountain Dew and burn some 2 stress to.
Okay.
I hate us.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and take 2 stress and then roll hack with +1 die.
+1.
And I'm going to say that this is. I have to keep remembering to do these things. I would say risky standard is fine. Risky standard is a good default if I don't say anything.
All right. 6.
There we go. It is simply a success, and you didn't spend a gambit on this roll, so you get 1. You are now up to 2 gambits. Oops. Totally, you are able to add an extra digit. It's not a permanent thing, you know. Well, I mean, you tell me. Is this true hacking to get an extra digit to show, or are you like botting to artificially inflate the follower count?
I mean, initially I was thinking this was just like load a web page up and like just in the background make it appear that way, like edit the source code for the page, but like not actually giving more followers, just enough to trick whoever, looked at it on the planet. But so I wasn't imagining it to be permanent.
Okay. Well, with this, let's go ahead and so this is an example of like why we have standard effect, limited effect. So if you look at this cheat sheet, the row standard effect is that you get 2 clock ticks if you're successfully doing this. So I am going to increase the Castar social media followers by 2 clock ticks. I'm going to make this yellow so it's slightly different. And with that, we will say that you get an extra die on this fortune roll. So Harv, if you want to go ahead, and I think we have 1 die for just the straight roll, and then you have 1 die because they are technology starved, and 1 die because Castar is bringing a number of followers to this planet. So that would be a total of 3 die.
All right, anybody else want to do anything else, or we kicking this off? All right, here we go. Ooh.
Okay. So this was your approach. You rolled a 4 and you are starting in a risky position. That means, so throughout all of the approach, you've scheduled a site visit with an individual named Orson, who is the quartermaster at Solar Squash, as a means of pitching this meeting. However, you feel like either through social media monitoring, maybe they had like a little communications associate that was a follow of yours and is just like a little shocked at the sudden interest in Solar Squash. They seem to be on a little bit of cautious territory in believing whether or not this is a real thing. So you're starting in a risky position. But before we get to that, you have one more choice to make before we actually land on the planet and start having these conversations. This is the point, if you open up your character sheet, where you can choose a loadout. So in the above the traumas, you'll see loadout 3, 5, and 8. This is basically your backpack size. What is in your backpack is to be determined. You will pull stuff out of your backpack as you need it. Sort of like with the idea that you had planned to have it all along. But the more that you choose to carry, whether you're carrying a light load, a normal load, or a heavy load, kind of makes you more or less conspicuous. It's like if you come with a heavy load, you're going to move slower and you look like you're ready for a fight. Whereas if you're carrying a light load, it's like you're like a tourist, you know. You're just sort of walking around with what little is in your bag, and that's it. So I need go ahead and just select one of those loads before we start the mission. And as for how Rosie has a backpack, we will figure that out.
It's a vacuum bag.
Yeah, there you go. A vacuum bag where you can pull out any number of things.
I like that I can always have illicit drugs on me. It's just a 0.
Wild.
So you all pull the QQ down to the I think on a planet like this, it's not that fancy. It's basically a parking lot as your ship just sort of like lands, and you are escorted by the CSF to have your meeting with Orson, the foreman or quartermaster, who is just a little bit questionable about your presence here. You're given through your walk a very quick tour of the facilities. There are a number of silos as well as mills. Like, even though this is not like a grain, it seems like you're just sort of like looking around. It seems like whenever they cook this squash with these giant magnifying glasses pointing into the silos, that they are then milled into a fine powder to make these sunbeam cells. And I would say for Harv's sake, you do know that sunbeam cells, this is not necessarily your favorite fuel source of all time, but it is part of Infinity Fuel. So what happens here, you do have a financial stake in, but nonetheless, you're getting a little quick tour just as you get from point A to point B, and you meet this sort of like large, kind of like huge, frankly, burly man who's bald, wearing a worker's uniform and carrying a like sci-fi clipboard. Like, it sort of has, it's like a light, a clipboard made out of light, where you're only really holding like a small piece of it, and it's projecting on to, it's just projecting in the air like a hologram. And he sort of looks at you all approaching in this moment and says, well, if it isn't Castar 96, that's what my associate told me.
Yes. Hi. It's like so great to meet you.
Welcome. Sort of looks at all of you and says, and you, sorry, this is not quite what I expected from, is this your ship?
No, I'm honestly like, I'm here hitching. I'm going on like a journey right now. It's like part of my brand. You know, like as someone who like works with, deals with, shares about the stars. I'm currently on like a galactic journey with this really lovely crew who's been like so wonderful, helpful, kind, and supportive. Just to like help me be in and around the stars to help do my work. It's honestly been like so great. They're really excited about like the opportunity that we have here today.
The opportunity to sort of looks
The
at
collab.
Okay. And what would it take for us to get into business? Do you want to, would you like a tour? We can arrange for that.
I think we would like love a really thorough, in-depth tour of like the whole facility, and I'm like more than happy to share that with my subscriber base, my Starbies. And I think they'll just really love such a thorough insight into this really wonderful process. I think we would love like to maybe do some kind of branding collab. And in return, like I'm also like so more super game to like feature your product and your content and your deliverables in my content going forward in a way that's like super equitable and like just like groovy and fun for all parties involved.
Christ. As in real life, a communications person, I'm just cringing. Go ahead and, so this is definitely a sway roll. Is there anything that anybody's doing to help you with this? Okay. Or would you like to push yourself to really sell this? Or spend a gambit. You can spend gambits as well.
Seems like an
I
important
would-
thing to have a gambit on.
It feels like a
do
what?
the gambit. Do the gambit. Do one.
Okay, we'll do
Oh
a
my
gambit.
God. I know too many of those people.
I also want to say I
Yeah.
also kind of work in communications and I hate her too. Okay, so so as far as spending the gambit
Yeah,
goes,
so I'll spend it on the ship. But you're gonna spend one, so you're gonna be up +1 die.
Great.
I've created a clock for real social media ? This is their progress towards believing you. But we are going to do a risky standard for this for the time being.
and then the modifiers +1.
Yes, because you've spent a gambit. Okay. You did, so it does say if you didn't spend a gambit, you gain 1 gambit. You did, so you don't actually get it, but it is a full success, and as a result, you do get 2 ticks on the clock. Go ahead and bring that up. And he says, "Of course, I'm completely happy to arrange. Would you prefer should we send somebody with you? Do you have a more? We don't want anybody to be in the shot, so." Do you want to do like a more of a self-guided experience?
Totally. I think a self-guided experience would be incredible, and that way we can also like do like an auditory immersive experience of like if you want to give us notes, I'm happy to like use my voice because my Starbies really know and trust my voice.
Sure. Can I get your number, and or I'll give you my number, and then if you ever need to call, if you have questions.
Sure. I actually prefer just to give my social handles for now, if you're comfortable with that. But I'm happy to give you my business number if absolutely needed.
Sure. We'll have our associate come find you so that you can open that channel up. But yeah, he hands you a key card and says this doesn't give you access to everything. There's just some some facilities that we can't just give out to Confederate staff, but if you want to just sort of walk around the facility, this should get you through most things, through most of the things that are that your followers will be interested in.
Awesome. And yeah, like who's the best person to go to if there's something else where I'm like, oh my god, I think my followers would like really resonate with this message, or like
let me
kind of feel spirit.
I'll send Melina to find you. She will she'll be able to tell you our messaging strategies and all these things, and
I cannot wait to talk
our
about
hashtags. Yeah, Melina,
so sorry. I'm gonna write that down, and she writes down Melinda.
And you are given you and your party are given access to the facility. You only have 1 card, but Orson leaves you, and you are. What do you all start looking for?
Well, I think I'll just kind of wander around and look for silos. That's my direction, because Young and sorry, forget your name already. Oscar. Oscar said it was in a silo down here, so makes most sense. Find it and let's skedaddle. Get on out of here.
I mean, we've got to make a video too. Like,
yeah, I'll leave that up to you youngsters. I don't know what's going on with all that stuff, so I still don't know half of what she was saying just a couple minutes ago. That's why I kept quiet. I didn't know what to do. You and your newfangled technology and bees. I don't know where bees are coming from, but
Okay.
it's a silo.
Yeah.
So
and I
there are a
think-
number of silos around, and like I would say, there's probably, I mean, these things are huge, but just like within sight, there's like 6 or 7, and you imagine if you walked across this, like, you know, it's not a small farm. There are probably more down the road a little bit if you really wanted to spend your time doing all this. So you might need to do some work to narrow it down.
Would I be able to communicate like what I saw in my vision, and if that can help narrow down which silo it could be?
I think because you had only gotten a partial success earlier, I think you already have resolved that vision, so to speak. But there are other ways to find that information. So you're sort of welcome to use your imagination to be like, is there, like, you could say like, is there a terminal nearby? And I would probably say yes. Like you can tell me what it is that you're looking for and what you want to find.
I mean, I could try to hack a terminal, or I don't know, Harv, do you just want to like ask one of the workers where the protesters were the other day?
I'm on it. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can see a nice little fella or gal just hanging out, maybe a little closer to my age. Maybe don't speak this crazy lingo that these kids got going on, but see if someone blue collar wants to talk to me.
There, in this sort of place, there are a lot of people wearing the Astrogrow uniforms, which are sort of like yellow overalls, like bright yellow overalls meant to reflect the sun and capture just a little bit of that sun energy to cool them down through like an internal system. But you see a number of them who are walking out of one of the mills, and who sort of like initially just look at you and they're like, they don't work here, but they keep working. They see that you have a badge and they seem to want to ignore you, but you catch them.
Oh, good day. Excuse me, folks. Can I just trouble you for one moment?
I mean,
So my friends over here, they do this social gadget, gadget stuff, and they want to do a tour and do all these nice little things going on here, but really, I think what would get people's attention more is seeing like where some protests were going down that I heard about not too long ago, because then we can equate it to what's going on rather than just talking about bees. I still don't know where bees come from, but that's what I'm thinking. So could you point me out where maybe some of those protests were going on so we can kind of link it up to the video and jazz it up a little bit?
I like how you prefaced all this by saying you're going to talk to people who speak like you, but I'm not doing accents. I'm sorry. Pretend they're doing whatever accent you want to pretend.
Well, no, just by me, I meant like
yeah.
an older.
Yeah.
Oh, not kids.
Rough and tumble workers.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll me I think this would be a command probably, because you're just trying to do this. You already have a 3 in it. You could still add more dice if you wanted, but if you wanted to spend stress and whatnot.
Yeah, I'll spend a stress just to.
It's spending two stress to push yourself for an extra die if you want.
All right. Okay. And then it's still risky standard.
Yes.
Okay. Stress. All right.
Yeah, not that great, I would say. They sort of look at you and say, what was it that you were looking for?
Well, I heard there were some protests here, and I'm trying to link it to like a, let's be honest, want to sensationalize.
Are you one of those protesters? We don't.
Do I look like one of those protesters? Seriously.
Where are you from?
New Texas, born and raised.
Gives you the eyes and says, "All right. Listen.
I'm all ears.
You just don't go poking around things you're not supposed to be poking around, all right?"
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, they were down. He points. He sort of like pulls out goes up to one of the terminals and shows you there's a kind of like general map, and you'll see that there are silos 7, 8, and 9 that he points to and says they were patrolling all around there a few weeks ago until we scared them off. But just don't. We've got eyes on you. Just don't do anything crazy.
Completely understood, young man. Now listen here. I want to hear that story about how you ran them off, because I'm sure it's a pretty good story. But let us get some of this filming done first, and I'll circle back. We'll kind of pick up on this. I think it's going to be a good story, young man.
Okay.
And mighty obliged. I appreciate your assistance today. It really was kind of you to take some time out of your day.
I've started for your minor complication. You have eyes on you is a clock. And your people are keeping an eye on you and your group until they have some certainty that you're not here to start protesting or raise a ruckus.
While that conversation is going on, can I be working with missed your name, Jacob?
Castar 96.
Sorry, 96. To fix the camera phone to my arm so that we can get some better angles, and to make it more believable that we're filming, so that maybe fewer eyes are on us.
Totally. That is hilarious. You are the tripod of the party.
Yeah.
I am going to say I'm going to have this be a risky great, because I think it's actually very believable that something like this could happen. That you brought a drone to get some aerial shots of such big silos. So what sort of role are we thinking for this one? I'd say generally this would probably be like a rig role. But I can see that neither of you have rig. So
Yeah, for rig.
yeah, but Castar could spend a stress to help you, and that would give you +1
I will
at least.
happily spend a stress to help you, and it is just me trying to maintain professional composure while trying to get whatever future technology phone is to balance perfectly and get secure on you. To be no, just can you just lift your arm a little to the left, to the right, just a little up, back. Great.
This could also
hold it.
Full elbow you at some point in this with my annoyance, but I do help.
You also do have the so I would say Harv is currently occupied talking to these folks, but you have the option of doing a group action, which I say for the remaining 4 of you, you would all roll rig and take the highest results, but the leader, who would be Rosie, would pay 1 stress for every 1 to 3 that was rolled. So it's if you expect everybody to roll high-ish, then it wouldn't be that stressful.
I have 1 in rig.
I also have 1 in rig.
Probably, maybe just help actions are better than.
Yeah, that feels fair.
Okay, so Castar takes 1 stress, and now you're going to get +1 die, Rosie, on your rig check. Or if you want to push yourself by spending 2 of your own stress, then you could get +2 die.
Nah.
Okay. Hey, there you go. Oh, and I suppose you could have spent the gambit you had as well, but you just got a gambit. And because it was a great effect, we are going to move 3 ticks on the clock to suggest that you're about to convince these folks that you're actually here for social media work. Ramshackle and Oscar, are you guys doing anything while everybody's doing this stuff?
I think maybe, sure. I'm over talking to Ramshackle. Do you know how to buy stock?
I mean, I have, but I did it illegally. I don't know how much that would help you, though.
I mean, is that how you do it? Like,
No, don't listen to me. No.
Harv says we should buy in this infinity fuel, and I feel like we're about to like make them take off. So
I think Harv means well. If you have the cash, do you have the cash? How old are you?
I'm like 18. It's fine. Yeah, I have no idea what the currency
Yeah.
is. I'm broke,
So,
but don't know.
yeah, on everybody's character sheet they have cred and then they have stash. Cred is equivalent, like one cred is equivalent to like a month's savings, you know, and your stash is sort of like what you squirreled away beyond that. Obviously you guys are all pretty broke right now. You do have like, so if you ever need to bribe somebody, you all have spending cash, like you have, you know, some nominal amount of like day-to-day living that you don't have to track. So you can tell me, but I do think the stock prices are like, you're not really rich enough to be day trading right now with that nominal money.
I think about how I ended up in a situation with an 18-year-old on my team, and then I go back to the conversation of I don't think you have the money right now to do that. Why don't we wait and see if it even goes up?
But like, you gotta spend it to make it. I think that's what Hart was trying to tell me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a way to go about life, but you save it. Save it. You're young. Save it.
But Hart says no fear. Like, we gotta hold it. All right. Go back with the rest of the crew.
Yeah, the camera has been attached. I tend to think like Castar probably has a couple phones, so you probably still have your own that you're logged into as well. But now you have one attached to Rosie as well for those extra special shots. And Harv rejoins the party and has a direction to lead folks down.
So that not so pleasant group, but they got us where we need to be. So silos 7, 8, and 9. If we go follow down this path here, take a left and then take a right, you're gonna pass silo 6, and then we got 7, 8, and 9 right down there. So that's where we're gonna head on down and see if we can't find ourselves something. And what's up with the vacuum cleaner?
Helping.
I see that. I like that. All right. Oh, and guys, just in case you didn't know, this is a subsidiary of IFI, so let's not cause any ruckus. You know, let's protect that stock price a little bit for Uncle Harvey here. Appreciate it, guys.
How much stock do you have invested?
Oh, that's a good question. A lot.
Should we like cause a scene or blow something up so that stock prices drop so that you can buy more so that when they go back up you'll make more money?
All right. So I like the way the vacuum's thinking. So here's the deal. I don't have my broker with me, because if so, then yes, I'd say let me short it and then we can do that. But I can't get a hold of my broker right now, so we ain't doing that. I'm getting towards the retirement age, so I don't know how many more of these dips I can take. Like, let's just play it cool. Let's get out there. But I like the ambition. You know what? Maybe me and you need to have some more talks on the ship. I think this might be going somewhere.
Castar turns on the phone and starts recording. She's like, I'm here with Stock Daddy Harv telling us about stock advice.
I'll
and
look
then
at Oscar.
deletes the video.
I'll look at Oscar and be like, it's just a little chaotic right now. I think you should just wait.
I mean, I don't know. Harv sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
I mean, I just sigh. I don't know what to say.
We're here talking about stocks, but what we should be really paying attention to are the stocks of these squash out in the fields.
I will say, while this
Christ.
video is recording, could I not be in it? Can I like try my hardest not to be in front of that camera?
You can. I think that's totally fine. You don't have to roll for that.
The camera is currently focused on myself and or Squash, and those are the two subject matter that matter at all. So you're good.
I just rolled that under Castar, but I meant to just roll it by myself. The stock price went up. You don't know why. It just does that sometimes. So you guys start heading out to silo 789. And so as mentioned before, you do have eyes on you. So as you take actions, we will, if you were to critically fail any of these actions, bad things might happen, but you trudge on over and find sort of the remnants of like a little bit of litter, like old signage and ripped up paper that sort of suggests that there was and Coke cans and things like that suggest that this was like a site where folks were protesting. There's a lot of boot prints on the ground that nobody's really combed to re-level the surface or anything like that. And you find yourselves looking at these 3 silos. They all currently seem to be locked. Like each of the silos themselves are closed and have these like magnifying glasses mounted atop them that are blasting sun into them. But then they are also seem to be behind a fence before you even can reach the body of the silo itself. There are individual fences behind each and every one. And so there's several layers of defense, so to speak. And you sort of look at a sign on one of the fences and it says authorized personnel only. And you recognize that your card does not actually get you past the fences.
Start going through the papers and cans and things that were dropped mostly by the protesters, just to see if there's anything that would point us to one of the 3 silos, or if maybe somebody dropped something that would be helpful in breaking in.
Okay. Is there anything in particular you're looking for?
I think I would, given, because you said papers, if there was anything that pointed to 7, 8, or 9 to narrow down which one we need to focus on, if that was in any of the notes or flyers.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Go ahead and what would that be? Probably a study check if you wanted to try to find anything like this. And I'll say that, let me actually create a clock for this as well. It's like your ability to narrow down which tower it's in. So if you want to go ahead and roll a study check, or if there's anything you want to do, you do have 2 gambits right now as well that you could be spending to try to vacuum up some evidence. And this would probably be, I would say this is probably I'm going to say it's a risky standard because you have eyes on you right now. And like a lot of these papers are a little bit shredded, so you're gonna have to piece some of them together.
That's fine.
I was gonna say, could I help at least not with the act, but in like getting eyes off of her, in like being louder and more obnoxious in like gesturing towards the different like doing a full social media tour to try to disguise the things are getting picked up.
Sure. So there's one more thing that you can do called a setup action, which is if you're successful, you give the next action a greater effect or an improved position. So if you would just want to draw attention away from the vacuum as it sort of to give it more time to suck up the evidence, then I certainly think you could try to do that.
I would love to do that. Would that be a sway?
I think so. Yeah, you're drawing attention from folks. So go ahead and just give me risky standard for this. Okay. It is successful. You do have what? So are you like live on social media right now, or you're just trying to like? What are you trying to do?
I don't think it's live. I think it is pre-recorded shots, and it's a lot of like, ooh, this would be a really nice like transition moment. Like, can we get this angle right here? So like that gives you an excuse to get into a position that you might not have been before. Or like, yeah, just keep the camera on me. You do whatever you need to do, and like I'll narrate conspicuously hiding you what's happening in the background.
Okay.
So it is manufactured.
Rosie's going to go get some B-roll while you do the messaging. So I'm going to move you into a desperate position because all eyes are on you right now. So anything that you do, Castar, is in the future until you're able to kind of get away from folks who are looking at you, is going to be desperate. But you are successful in giving Rosie more time to find evidence. So Rosie, you were in, so you could either, I said risky standard, so you could do risky great, or you could do controlled standard if you want to try to avoid prying eyes or just find more stuff.
I vote risky great because that's more fun.
Sure.
I get a +1 from Castar.
Well, so it's so no.
That just changes the.
Yeah, that just changes it to great. So somebody could still spend the help action to help you out if they wanted to, or so you could spend a gambit.
Push myself. I haven't taken any stress yet.
Okay. Oh, I think this is study. Oh yeah, okay, that's correct. So you are able to get a bit of evidence as you're sucking this all up. You haven't really spent the time to study it yet, but you've combed a lot of ground, and so you know among the papers that you've collected. If somebody can just jigsaw them together, that you probably have a pretty good grasp over what happened here. However, I think you're not used to sucking up paper on gravel, and so I'm going to suggest that unless you want to resist it, that you're going to have you're going to have you're going to be tangled as your harm, which would be -1 die on future rolls unless you want to try to detangle yourself.
I would like to detangle myself.
Okay. Let's go ahead and make a prowess roll then, and we'll see how much stress you suffer.
Per action rating for the relevant attribute.
So when you click prowess, it'll because you have 1 point in scramble and 1 point in scrap, you'll end up getting 2 base die. But if you wanted to spend a gambit, you could still then you could get a modifier for this.
Nah.
Okay.
I'm indestructible.
There you go.
That's not
okay. So you do sort of like shake yourself out as some of this gravel exits your canister, but you do suffer 2 stress in the process.
Sounds good.
What are other folks up to?
Oscar, you said you were good at hacking. Maybe we could try to hack the system so it could read the card that we have? Is that...
I mean, can it not just read the card we have now? Or
I think I don't think it can.
Sure. Yeah, let's hack this thing. And I'll try to maybe use a terminal and our key cards and see if I can like narrow down what of these 3 silos this might be in. I guess.
If he's going towards a terminal, I'm just going to try and position myself line of sight blocking between anybody else who might be looking as best I can.
Okay. Would that functionally be a help action?
Yeah.
Okay. To give you a little bit more time. So is your hacking goal, you said are you trying to recode your key card, or are you trying to narrow things
Sure
down?
the key card has anything else to do. Maybe what I'll try and do is see if I can use the combo of the terminal and the key card to like be able to connect my communications device to it, so I can like mess with their system remotely later on.
Okay. You're trying to get remote access on your own device. Okay. So Harv is helping you out. So you can roll a hack with +1 die.
Right.
As a reminder, we still have 2 gambits as well.
This will be fine. See? That's not so bad.
What I would say is that you do avoid the kind of like prying eyes of people immediately, who are immediately watching the area, because they're all still sort of like looking at Castar, doing the social media thing. But you do end up in a desperate position for future rolls nonetheless, because you have triggered, you don't even necessarily recognize it, but you've triggered a login alert in their system that is unrecognized, and if their cybersecurity person checks it out, they will have noticed that there's an intrusion. What I'm going to do here, because if you ever fail, I would say like dramatically enough, then you could reveal that like somebody could look into you. So there's going to be a clock for cybersecurity.
That feels very work appropriate for me.
But you guys have had eyes on you for a while now, and you've almost expired the eyes on you clock, because nobody sees you starting up a protest. So you're almost done with that. But Rosie, you've dispensed the shredded materials, and you, Harv, and Ramshackle are just sort of, I think, probably able to look through it right now if you wanted to. But at this point also, I'm going to bring it back to Castar, because like you notice in the corner of your eye, like while you're in the middle of a recording, that there is a sort of like a woman who sort of makes herself look really thin and tiny, with like big glasses, that is sort of like worming her way through the crowd of people who are sort of like watching you, and a few people like ask for your autograph, and like they don't necessarily follow you, but they wonder if someday it'll be worth something. But this woman sort of comes up to you and says, "I'm Melinda, Melina. I don't know."
Oh my god, hi! It's so great to meet you.
Hi, you're here for potential co-branding.
Potential collab, yeah.
Okay. What do you have in mind?
And I think I relay, a similar plan of I can use my platform of Star Obsessed Star Bees to really focus on the sun is a star. You know, there's a connection. On the delights of squash production and fuel production that come from it. And I think like she frequently plays the card of just like, or projects as just like an absolutely soulless influencer, but like would maybe have a little moment of vulnerability of just like, you know, like, I know I'm in kind of a transitional point as a creator of like trying to grow bigger and like find new ways of supporting my voice. And I know that like I cannot imagine what like having a voice advocating for you and your work in a new spheres, in new worlds could be. So like I think we're both at like like we're both at crossroads meeting each other for the first time, and I just like really think it'd be a beautiful moment.
We are, wow, that's so inspiring. You look at her face, you're not sure that she's inspired. This is a business transaction perhaps, but she sort of looks to you and says, well, so I would love if we could just like co-author like a little announcement and just sort of like maybe do like a little like,
Do you want to do a collab post?
yeah, just something to say that you're here, you know, and that
Is there any? I'm happy to do that. Like timelines, script, deliverables. What are you?
I've got it all for you right here. She hands you
Incredible.
She hands you a series of pre-written posts and says, just if you could just like put your voice on it, and then
Cool.
we have she points behind her and there's this guy carrying like a light camera and says like we just collect a little bit of footage that we'll put in HD later. Basically she's attempting to do right now is to get you to post right now, like in the next 5 minutes, something kind of like spontaneous, something like you get the impression that she has a rollout ready to take advantage of this right this second.
Oh, and I think Castar is absolutely ready to take advantage of that opportunity. And will not say like she's not gonna read exactly what's written. Like it will have her own inflection and her own choices that maybe or may not distance her a little bit further from the situation if need be. And the affect that she puts on is very intentional in this moment. But yeah, she goes with the fucking flow.
Okay. Give me I'm actually gonna again, this is where the engagement roll was for Sean, but on the left side of your screen you'll see die icon, and I want you to make a fortune roll with one die, and this is just type in live stream. This is the question of how does your social media audience react to you getting into the grain field?
Incredible. Do I add like sway or anything to it?
No, fortune rolls are you could spend a gambit if you wanted, but fortune rolls are a little random.
Great. This doesn't feel gambit worthy / I already used one. I think this is gonna go terribly, and I really want it to.
Then burn it. All right.
Okay. This will, so even though it's a poor effect, I'm just sort of sharing, this will give you the last tick on your clock for real social media. You've proven that you've bought into the social media game. However, and some of this may just be, the artificial follower count, but you get some unsubscribers. Some people are just not driving with this content.
So I think I would notice that and then communicate right back. Like, so what I'm seeing is, I really, really love how ready you were to engage in this conversation, but I think the collateral that you've presented doesn't feel authentic in some way. So if you wouldn't mind, like, I would be so happy to like give it a go and give it a little rewrite, just to like more accurately communicate the brand in a way that I think people will really latch onto. Just full on spinning this into an opportunity.
She's like, sure, we can communicate the details. I mean, I have all I need for today. We have a cadence of posts that we'll be putting out over the next month. But if you want to communicate, she works with you on your phone to put you in contact, or to basically friend you on FlipFlop, and then you will be able to reach out to her in the future. She may reach out to you in the future as well. But you have satisfied that you are here for real social media, and the crowd starts to part as well, as all eyes are sort of not off of you, but you have satisfied sort of what you're here to do. And people have bought into this being what you're here for. What are the rest of you guys doing to try to like narrow down which silo it is?
I guess it was me, Harv, and Rosie going through all the materials that Rosie sucked up.
You do look like you're good at puzzles.
I just like putting things together.
Well, if you would like to make a study check, or probably a study check.
Sure. Yes, I'll use a gambit.
Okay.
Great. What's the position and effect for this one?
So sorry, I'm just refamiliarizing myself with some rules. Because Rosie gathered quite a bunch of stuff, I'm going to say that this is a great effect. And I'm going to say that it is in a pretty controlled position, because you're not really in a like nobody's really casting suspicion on you right now.
Okay, and no modifiers, just a roll.
Well, +1 from the gambit, but yes.
For the gambit, yes. And here we go.
Okay. You do it, says the tooltip. You are completely confident that, and you're sort of like through the papers that you start to sort out and piece together like a puzzle. You find that not only was the protest focused on Silo 8, but that they had been you sort of find in there, it's a little bit broken and ripped apart, but you find that there was a protesting permit, an electronic protesting permit that got them in the gate.
Oh. And I like pull out my glasses and I'm trying to like put the shredded pieces of paper together that match well, and I'm trying to use what I use in my normal day-to-day into like very thin slices of paper, and I'm like, okay, I think I got it. Not looking at anyone. Silo 8.
If I may, one thing I'm gonna I should have asked you how you wanted to do it, but I think this is a good example of when you may have spent a loadout point. So if you go into your character sheet, click on loadout, and then click on the plus icon, you'll see all the different things that you can sort of have pulled from your bag. And I think and some of you, maybe if you could just go through your loadout sheets to see if you've pulled out any of these already and just sort of add them retroactively. But this may be an opportunity where you may have pulled out some repair tools to put these papers together.
Sure, I'll do that.
Can you say again where you can find the list for loadout?
Sure. So if so open your character sheet, the loadout tab, and then there's a plus icon next to empty right under the loadout.
I have illicit drugs. That's so sad.
You don't have to pull them. You only have them when you pull them out.
I'm not sure that I have this.
Say again.
I'm not sure I have this. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Do you see abilities, loadout, friends, notes when you open your character sheet? Kind of like middle left, bottom middle left. Okay, you got it.
Found it.
Cool.
Thank you.
But you have
I pull out my repair tools, and a lot of it's like laser based, and I'm like, oh, I can't really use those. So I pull out like a magnifying glass, my glasses, and and anything that could help, and kind of just do what I do, but with paper. Just put everything back together.
all right. Let's go ahead and take a break though, before we figure out how you actually recover this artifact from the silo.
Cool.
BRB.
Talk to you in a minute.
Cool.
So you have discerned that it is in Silo 8, and you have, among the protest materials, you found a sort of ripped up permit that that you know was used once upon a time to get folks past the gate so that they could protest in proximity of the silo. But now you're all sort of standing around a little bit. Castar, even though the crowd has parted, you're still, I'd still consider you in a desperate position because like you're sort of becoming the local celebrity, and people will notice you if you're doing anything out of the ordinary. And then Oscar, you are sort of in a desperate position, but more so specifically for using your tech, just because you had been detected, screen mirroring all this. But what would you like to do?
What I don't remember the consequence after we hacked into the terminal.
The consequence, so it wasn't what Oscar has done is sort of enabled remote access to the terminal through his own device. The consequence is that he was detected logging in. So
I see.
Sort of like assuming he doesn't use it too much, he'll probably be fine.
So we don't have a clear way of getting to the silos yet, because we don't have a way to get through the gate.
I mean, I think we can just go over to Silo 8 and check it out. See if we can get in, see if there's too many people around or something.
Oh, in your description, didn't you say it was something was damaged?
The permit papers that would normally get you past the gate was damaged, and you had found that among the protest signs.
Yeah. Okay.
But
shall we head on off to Silo 8?
Yeah, you guys go down, and at this point, Melina has left your side. You can reach out to her if and when you want digitally, but you guys have walk of the place, and it takes you probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to close the distance on the silo, and you see that it seems to be actively cooking this solar squash. And sort of like as you're getting closer and closer to it, even though you're behind the gate, you are feeling the heat radiate from this place just a little bit. And I think like when you were sort of walking past the other silos, you noticed that some of them seemed to be cooking at a lower temperature, and they still had workers nearby. But this one presently is cleared of all workers and seems to be on like a high bake mode, so to speak. So as you're sort of like measuring the situation, trying to figure out how to get in, how do you choose to make your approach? You still have to get past the gate first of all, but then is there anything you're doing to try to deal with the heat?
I think there are two things that she's doing for future, and one thing that she's doing to deal with the heat. The first for future is she's very conspicuously recording the heating process and like just the sheer intensity of what's going on. Just to make sure she's doing a very thorough job of like showing the work happening. She will also very much be recording the process of like, I think more subtly sneaking in whenever that happens. Like that's more just like phone to chest kind of vibes. As far as dealing with the heat, and this can absolutely be recorded, I think for a slow-mo video played down later, there's a very dramatic, like, big woo Southern America vibes of like, there's cornfields in the back, and like, shake hair out, throw sweatshirt off, and then record that for a future reel as well. I don't know if that mechanically does anything, but I just think it's important.
Well, and
and blow up steam, like to make like a smoke effect in the background. Just for effect, no for real purpose.
Listen, if her followers don't want squash content, they will get other content.
As you are sort of pulling out the camera and starting to do some of these recordings, you do find some of the CSF cops or corpos that are patrolling the perimeter of this gate as well. And one of them does sort of walk up, not to you because you're currently in recording, but I think walks up to Ramshackle, Harv, and Oscar, and just says, "We can't allow any recording of trade secrets and sort of internal procedures. I hope if you could communicate that to your friend."
What constitutes like a trade secret and what doesn't? Like, could we do some B-roll inside the silo or something?
You're not getting in that silo. You'd be cooked alive. I mean, you could try, but
I mean, Rosie over here doesn't look like she's too susceptible to heat. And I did bring a spacesuit. Maybe.
I also could bring a spacesuit.
I mean, if you guys want to pull out spacesuits as your means of thermal defense, you're very welcome to. But he sort of looks at you and says, well, you know, listen, I'm just here to guard. I can't tell you how it works, but I just know that he sort of points to a sign next to the authorized personnel only sign. And it says that it's like one of those like only authorized recording equipment is allowed beyond the gate. And he sort of says like, listen, rules is rules. Just if you, it looks like you don't have access anyway, but if you just, you know, don't bring the cameras in the gate if your tour extends that far.
Would it be fine for us to just like go in there and look around so we can like narrate later on how it works?
If you can get authorization, but he sort of looks at you, sort of like trying to figure out what you're asking for.
We just want to like, we're just trying to make a great video, and like I think like how the squash is cooked seems like important.
What kind of role are you trying to make on this guy?
I have no idea.
I think you're trying to sway him. So I'm going to say this is a risky limited. There's not a clock established for this, but it's sort of like it's a one tick clock to kind of gauge whether he thinks you're for real or not.
Sure.
Okay. He sort of looks at you and says, like, I'm trying to think of what he says. I think it's a reduced effect in this case. Like it was already a limited effect and it's just going to be sort of a no effect. He's going to say, I can't help you.
Okay, so we just have to get the right approval or whatever.
Good luck. And he walks away.
I shoot him. No.
That's an option.
Are there a lot of other guards or people around? Like, are they still here?
There is a routine patrol. I mean, if you were to find the means to get in, then you could skulk past the guards. But it is a policed territory.
Hey,
Yeah, we already
Castar,
did.
can you
Yeah.
ask that lady earlier if it's possible to
Lindana?
come inside? Did you say Did you say McDonald?
But yes, now her contact name. is
Okay.
my phone.
I didn't hear McDonald earlier, but I'll sure.
I said Lindana, but McDonald sure works fine.
Sure. See if we can shoot some film in the silo.
Sure. I shoot off a DM. Um, that absolutely starts with "Hey babes," comma, and then that leads into the entirety of the ask. Just like, so yeah, and thinking about like how we want to be rebranding and like how we want to like really invite the customers on a thorough experience of like seeing the product so they can most like fully appreciate it. So it's not so like such a cursory glance like as kind of we saw earlier that didn't really resonate with our audiences. Would it be possible, even if we're not showing, even just so we can experience what happens like actually in the silo process? I would really love to be sharing that with the people who might need to hear it the most. XOXO. And XO.
I'm going to say this is a command roll, and I'm going to say nobody can really help you with this unless anybody wrote it for you, but I sincerely doubt that. I think it is. I think you're still in a little bit of a desperate position here, and we're just going to say it's a standard effect. One fun note is because you're taking a desperate position action, you are going to get 1 experience point. And because this is a command, you can go ahead and click the 1 experience point next to resolve.
Oh yeah.
So sort of
Does
like
this feel like some?
just to describe that a little further. So it's like if you can find yourself in desperate positions, it's actually a pretty good way to like level up because you're kind of scrapping together a plan and gaining experience through it. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was about to call you Clax. That is no longer correct. You were going to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask. So you get the XP even before you attempt to roll. Like that's just the fact that you're doing something gets you the XP whether it's successful or not.
Yeah, if you're rolling a desperate position action, whereas like previously, I think you Castar had went from risky to desperate as a consequence of a bad risky roll. But now that she is taking an action in the desperate position, getting experience points for it.
Cool. Does this feel like straw poll? Does this feel Gambit usable, or like should be using it for?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. This is the last gambit for now.
Find it in.
That one was actually a 6 till it hit the side of my screen at least.
So you sort of get a response that is short and brief and to the point. It says, "K, be there, be right there." But when you get there, there is a sort of like entourage of folks that are arriving to escort you inside. So Melina comes in with 2 other sort of like engineers who are here to help explain what's going on, to give you like the talking points as you need them with like the technical experience. But then there's also 2 corpos who are just sort of like maintaining security.
Thank you so much.
And she also says, we can halt the bake for about, let's say, he sort of looks to one of the engineers who like nods and says, and she says like 10 minutes, 15 minutes before we need to kick you off and turn it back on. So are you ready? You need to talk about this first. Are we good?
I feel fine. How about the rest of y'all?
Yeah.
Harvey's good. Just he's gonna just start randomly talking to the one of the engineers, just to kind of occupy them, and start asking about this type of fuel, how it's better than some of the other stuff that IFI produces. Why don't you use more of this technology? You know, I was reading an white paper article they had that IFI published that they're talking about the future of this not going to be a space wash, but it's actually going to be something they found over in Beta Garmin, and I'm not quite sure. Do you know anything about that? And I'm just going full on in just to kind of keep them distracted and see if I can get any insider tips.
Okay.
Rosie,
Um,
if we find something, could you put it in your bag? Okay.
Yeah. Do we need spacesuits for this?
I think they're
off
turning the
heat
bake
for us.
off. So
Yeah, so they you see one of the engineers goes into like they sort of scan themselves into the fence, and they are wearing spacesuits, by the way, and you're sort of everybody's looking at you like, so you got spacesuits? You good?
yeah.
So back to that Beta Garmin thing. I just pull out from my little satchel, little cube, press it, and starts kind of like going up over me, my spacesuit. But so back in Beta Garmin though, they said that this thing.
Yeah, and on and on. So who does not have protection from their loadout? Like who cannot pull out something to protect themselves from this heat? Everybody's got something? Okay. You all suit up. The individual, one of the engineers is sort of getting his ears turned inside out by Harv. The other one scans in with his spacesuit and goes in ahead of you into this sort of like little gazebo chamber that has some various like controls and levers and whatnot. Goes there, pulls a lever, hits a big button, and you sort of hear the whole magnifying glass from the heat starts to whir down. And similarly, you hear like you don't hear it so much as you see it, but it seems like there's a sort of like tower off to the side that starts emitting a cloud of fog that with like a big fan that starts blowing it towards the tower, such as to block out the sun. Very like low tech means of turning off the sun, but you're all guided in to be closer to the silo. Harv, I'm going to need you. I created a clock for your being watched, which is essentially the amount of attention. If this ever fills up, then you will sort of like, people will start to suspect that you're not here to record videos. So I need you to sort of roll something to maintain this one engineer's attention.
So I think I would have to say, just looking at him, I think it would be consort, because you're socialized with friends and contacts. So I think I'm just trying to talk to him that way. So, and then for me, risky standard.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's trying to concentrate on sharing with you fun things, but
That was a 6 too. I don't like this dice.
I don't know what dice jail is like in Foundry, but
We'll find out.
So I would say what happens is that he, like, you're talking about all these things, and you're like, you know that we are IFI, right? Like the sunbeam cells, like,
Yes, absolutely.
and you're trying to get me to this is ooh. There's a moment where he's just like, you don't know too much about this, you're just a traitor.
Kind of like hurt, like, how dare you insult my intelligence on this, but then really like, yeah, I'm not an engineer.
Actually, I'm going to fill this up to 6, and then it's like once it reaches 0, that's going to be when it's bad. But you've lost a little faith in this guy and trying to pull attention away, and are just not successful in it. I'm also... No, I'm not going to do that. We're fine. But the rest of you are pulling up into the silo, which at this point is still fully like kind of sealed off. There is no like clear entrance into it. But what are you all doing?
That is a good question. I think I would stay unnoticed in the back. Kind of my usual tendencies. Trying not to be noticed.
Well,
I assume Castar's up front.
Yeah, as well as
Yeah,
I think Rosie is expected to be up front for camera purposes, but
I think I'm asking a lot of questions that you think are really simple to answer, and then you realize you just keep talking. They're like very much intention and questions intended to keep people talking and keep people preoccupied.
and there's probably I say this like right now you are all being escorted by this small contingent of people, and they're giving you the ground rules. They're like, we're gonna open the door here. We're going to point at things and let you know what they are. If you need to get a few shots, that's great. But we kind of need you to like don't get too close. The material is still quite hot, and so they're sort of what it communicates to you is you're feeling restricted at this moment. You need to come up with some kind of solution to get their eyes off you, and some kind of solution to find this artifact inside of the silo and to retrieve it, and to get out with it. So there's sort of like all these pieces to the puzzle that you haven't quite assembled yet, or maybe you have, I don't know. But they do eventually, like after giving you these ground rules, they say, all right, make sure your suit is on tight. They have one of the corpos sort of does like a suit check on all of you. And they sort of press a button that raises the silo by like 10 feet on these like hydraulic rods. And then it sort of like opens up into an area that has a down spiral stair that goes just like a little bit into the silo so that they can lower it again. But you all walk in and into this like dark room, and above you there's sort of like this syrup that is dripping from this baked solar squash down onto you on this lower level, that is being filtered away through these grates, and you just sort of see this like baked, scorched squash plant that must extend for 20 feet high above you, within this very tall silo. They're pointing out the grates. They're pointing out how the grates are used to filter out the sugars, so that they can fully dry the squash and further refine it into pebbles through the mill. And how, like, at this point in the process, they're kind of, one of the engineers steps away to do like a quality control. They pull out a few pieces and start to like pull out like a microscope and whatnot to look at it and do like acid checks and see how it's doing. But it's dark in here, and it's sort of actually hard to see what's going on.
what would happen if it was like contaminated or something? Do you guys have like a way to like dump the batch or remove, you know, if something's gone wrong? Like, how do you quality control it? Deal with issues?
One of the engineers says, yeah, I could show you around back. We do have a sort of like a slide of sorts that will, let me just show you.
Sure, I'll follow the engineer.
You split off and you see that there's I think this is sort of the information gathering stage. Like nothing is, they're not really sure what is important enough for you to record yet, or like what Kassar is trying to record. So you're just getting the information to bring it back to the team, but shows that there is this like almost like a chute that can be opened all the way from the top of the silo all the way to the bottom, kind of like a big zipper, that would essentially filter or allow the material to be drained through like a narrow funnel. And it can be positioned as such. It can be either positioned like a zipper where they pull out the whole thing, or it can be positioned at any height if they want to check different samples throughout the material.
You ever had to like dump a whole silo?
That would be a bad day.
Be kind of cool though.
Well, go ahead and roll me a sway check. Or no, sorry, this actually would be, even though it's worse for you, it's more of a consort check.
Sure.
But it's controlled but standard.
All right.
So you can roll this again as a risky opportunity and potentially, like if you want to press on to try to figure out what would cause them to unload like that, then you could press on the conversation, but there would be risk associated with it.
I think, sensing I'm not getting an answer, I don't want to come off as too obvious or anything, so I don't think push further with that at the moment.
Okay. So you know, like I think in his you can recognize in his head he probably has a worst case scenario in his mind that would require it to be unloaded, but like you pull away because it's too obvious to ask.
Oh, I have an idea. I don't know how crazy it is, but I'm gonna try it.
Do it.
I'm gonna listening to Oscar being like, "Oh, what makes you guys dump it?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I could try this." I imagine that I carry like repairs for me and my body around just in case, like, I lose a finger or a limb or something. How crazy would it be under repair tools to have like a limb or two?
I think this is probably medkit, not repair tools.
Damn. How much do I have? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have
Cool.
enough to
I have
afford
enough.
it, but
Yeah. So it gets dark in here, so I'm gonna pull out, because we can reach like the squashes there, right?
yeah.
Or whatever. Okay. So I'm gonna see if I could like stick some limbs in the squash, like inconspicuously, and then once that's done, if I need to make a roll, great. And just kind of point that out to the engineer that's down here with us. Be like,
Okay.
you guys
yeah.
realize you have limbs in here?
I think the first thing is a skulk check to like kind of get away with planting all this stuff. Folks could help you with this by drawing attention away from Ramshackle, who is doing this, if they wanted to.
I'm gonna try and restart my conversation with the engineer.
And Castor is really excited about. I think in this universe, it wasn't the "it's corn" song. It's gonna be "it's squash." And Castor is starting it right here, right now. So it's singing weirdly a lot in a corner.
I don't know how to finish the song. I have it in my head now. But okay, so is that 2 help actions essentially? Or are you doing it as well, Castor? Okay. So each of you spend stress, and then you, Ramshackle, get +2 dice.
Ooh.
And this would be, sorry, I think this is risky great because, frankly, this would be a good reason to discard the cargo.
Okay, I'm gonna roll.
All right. Hey, all it takes is 1. And because you didn't spend a gambit, you get a gambit as well. So you successfully planted the evidence, or not the evidence, but planted your extras. But
yes.
And then.
So as I'm doing this, I'm a little sad that I'm losing the potential opportunities of these limbs, but I'm like, it's for the greater good. Just put them in there. It's like a leg with a heel on it and a very muscular arm, like in 2 different parts of the area that I'm near. And I'm like, engineer, right? Is that normal? Do you guys harvest limbs?
The cameras go right to it. We're not live. It's recorded.
Oh God! I didn't mean for the camera to record that. Oh God!
Let everybody out! Everybody out! And you are all starting to be shuffled out of the space. One of the engineers and one of the corpos stay behind, and now there's just 1 engineer, 1 corpo following you and trying to escort you outside of the fence.
Was the place where they were going to dump this, was this outside of the silo, or is this all like inside where we just were?
If it was a full dump, it would just sort of spill out. Like it would be like an emergency situation where it's very uncontrolled. It would just spill out between the silo and the fence. Like it would just sort of be everywhere.
Okay.
So do you guys just like allow yourselves to be walked out, or
did we get any thought that we saw or had any indication of the artifact at all?
I would say, maybe during this time as you're being shuffled away and as people's attention is drawn towards where the camera's pointing, I would say this would be the opportunity to try to find it if you have a method.
Wow, I was going to make hand signals like, what? Go, look. Not necessarily a subtle. If anybody else has any other ideas, but I would absolutely be trying to find anything that would look suspicious. Something that's tucked in a corner because it hasn't been drained off. Like is there any? I know it's a silo. It's round. So it's generally not going to have corners. But is there anywhere for like that control room where there is corners that something would have got stuck up against that would be out of sight that people wouldn't have noticed?
I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
Just looking for anywhere where the artifact would have got stuck through the normal course of being drained.
Yeah, so from where the syrup is pouring from the grates, it's sort of thick with squash. And so like within your immediate field of view, there's only like a fraction of what is in the silo that can be seen, because the rest of it is sort of like stacked in layers and layers and layers of this stuff. So if you want to just sort of, would this be, this would be study, or I guess, like, is there anything you're doing to try to use more than just your normal perception?
No, because I don't think I have any like.
Um,
The only thing is, am I?
you do have
feeling
your
something?
loadout as well. Like if there's something
Yeah, no, I
in there.
didn't see anything I could really. And there's spy gear, but I don't know if that would necessarily be the.
Spy gear could be like a scanner.
That scanner.
Yeah.
Oh, then yeah, if I can pull out that and use that, that would absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm out of loadout items, so I'm done.
Okay.
Me too.
I would say that this probably is. I mean, it's still either study or. I'd say you could use hack because I know you have a point in hack. You're trying to like you're taking a moment to like attune your spy gear to like a way
However,
signature.
I do remember when I was back on the ship,
Oh.
knowing that I'd have like there might be an opportunity where I'd have to scan for this item, that I adjusted my scanner back on the ship, so it
Okay.
was already set up for it.
That is totally reasonable. I would say that would probably just cost you 1 stress. You were looking for it after all.
All right.
So
What do you want this to be?
with that, I will say that it is study, but you get +1 die just from using a sort of attuned scanner, and then it's also going to be a sort of, I'd say it's a risky great effect.
Got it.
But then you could still add more dice if you want.
Yeah, I will absolutely add a die at 2 stress for myself. Correct.
Yes.
Can I help if there's a guard or an engineer next to me, be like, oh my god, I think it dripped blood on me. Oh, it was like there was still blood on the limb. I hope the camera didn't catch that. Oh god.
Yeah, I'll say you're giving him more time to complete a scan if you want to spend 1 stress as you're being like ushered out. Yeah.
So
I think you should be up to 3. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's hope I get above a 4 because I don't think that's happened yet tonight. Well,
mean-
at least it's a 5.
Better than
So,
one.
you do detect it, and you know that it's about 2 feet up, and you sort of like have an idea of like it's in this corner of the silo. You detect a strong signature coming from it, but the complication, what I would say is you feel your spy gear starting to overheat and glow blue. So I'm going to, you can choose to accept the harm because I know you don't have that much stress left. But I'm going to say you like burn your hand, which would be a number 2 harm.
Okay. And that's just and then once I use all my stress, I go into trauma, right?
Yeah, and then you would reset your stress, so that's good. But
no, I'm gonna try and
you're gonna try to resist it.
Yeah.
But didn't you say trauma stay with us?
For a while, for many, unless you can find a way to solve it, which are generally rare.
Ooh.
I mean, somebody could try to resist the effect for you. If somebody has a wealth of stress, they could like grab it out of your hands.
I would say me, but I'm distracting the guy.
Nope. I'm a gambler. We'll try and resist it.
Oh, okay.
You could use a gambit to get an extra die if
Do we
you
have
wanted.
gambit left?
We do have 1
We
gambit.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well. Okay.
Oof.
So this is going to be
Resolve.
resolve is more mental strain, so I think
Okay,
this
so
is
prowess.
prowess. Yeah.
Okay.
So prowess with
Prowess.
+2 die.
Okay. +2. Sorry, where's +1's from the Gambit?
1 from Gambit, 1 from. I thought you pushed yourself, or am I wrong?
Oh,
Or no, sorry.
No, yeah, because if I push myself, I get another die, but then I have nothing. Oh,
Oh,
it
no, no.
resets, right?
No, sorry. No, it's +1 die from the Gambit, 1 die from Prowess, and I think that's it. Yeah.
It doesn't change the total die at all. I go from total dice still stays at 1.
Well, if you roll, if it's +1, it should be total die 2.
Yeah, it just says 1.
Okay, well, we'll make sure you get 2 die, but go ahead and try. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it rolled 2. That's interesting. Okay.
Okay. So you do take 1 stress.
All right, that works. That works. We got this.
For context, 1 more stress will give you a trauma.
I got it.
But you drop the spy gear, and I think at this point the panic in the room. Nobody noticed that you pulled this out to scan, but you do leave that spy gear behind. And you are all ushered out of the silo. They don't push you out past the fence just yet, because they're sort of like they leave 1 engineer and 1 corpo behind to sort of like investigate, but they are sort of like keeping you in a holding area to say like, is this like so sometimes there are objects that are found and we just need to take some extra time to thoroughly investigate them. It could have been, I mean, it was really dark in there. We're not quite sure. Not quite sure what that was about. So if you guys just hang tight for a little bit, I'm sure we'll get it all squared away.
No worries. We understand. We got this. We're just gonna hang out here while you go do what you need to do, you other young man.
Is the camera still rolling? I'll say loudly, but not in front of the camera. Do you think it was the protesters? Do you think it was a limb from one of the protesters that was on the news lately?
Meanwhile, pulling up my pad just to see if the ticker's moving at all. Okay.
You see one of the engineers comes out and says, we're just going to do a little bit of material withdrawal just so that we can get a closer sample. If you saw any, like, could you, he sort of like takes out a notepad and is like, can you tell me what you saw and approximately where you saw it?
Oh, I am great with identifying dead bodies, and I'll go into full detail of the description of the limbs. Full detail.
Wild that someone was protesting in heels, but anyways,
Some people like to serve every day and every minute of their life.
you gotta respect that.
Sorry, when you described it earlier, I just pictured a leg and you calling out the heel of the foot, and I was like, I don't know why they're calling out the heel, but whatever. You actually meant like heels.
Yep, heels. Yep.
Yeah, all right, I'm with you now.
Yep.
I thought it was just going to be like a finger. Like, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah,
It's
so
a Louboutin.
So you see that like during this conversation, it's like, well, maybe it was something else, but I understand like sort of like a shape kind of like this, and he's sort of indicating like a leg. Is there any other information that folks provide? I guess you have an idea of where you scanned, so
Yeah, so I don't know if I want to say anything because I'm gonna do it above board. I don't know if I should say anything, guys, because then I'm letting them know where it is. But then it also means they might grab it, bring it out for us, and then it's just a grab and run. Or I play dumb and hopefully it gets flushed down.
I think Oscar is looking like he's just bored and playing on his phone, but I'm just waiting for them to start draining, and my intention is to try to use my remote access to set off an alarm at like silo 1, like as much as I can with this thing. Just get everybody hopefully here to leave to go deal with some bigger issue. But
I mean, this could be the flashback that this was all according to plan.
I will say, since it was like bloody and I described blood dripping on me from the limbs or whatever, add in like, oh, like, there's still blood on the limbs, so you guys might want to go an extra feet above it to take some of it out.
I'm sure that was just syrup, but we'll be extra thorough in our investigation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we know what blood looks like, but
well, you start to see that they use the slide on the side to start to excise various parts of the silo. Do you share? Like, we discussed some ideas, but what are you actually willing to like share and do?
Don't know.
I mean, somebody probably should, I don't know, say how high up they think it is, or make something up.
I'm willing to do whatever the equivalent of like bend and snapping, like, oh no, I fell into the liquid and it happens to be in the right place. Oh no, oh wow, if need be. Or
you're the
or
only
now that we've
one that
recorded the limbs, like to get them very preoccupied on like the fact that we've recorded something they probably don't want shown.
That's true, but Harv, you're the only one who saw where the object was, so I guess it's up to you because I don't think any of us know where the object is.
So engineer, good sir. There was on the way out. I think I saw something right up on top of the. When you're walking out, it's here, right here. There might have been something else. You know what I'm saying? Right in that general area, you might want to clean that too, because I think that might be a problem. So just looking out for you guys. We don't want any crazy stuff going on.
Why don't you come with me and point it out?
All right. Okay. Yeah, it might be easier. So when we go in, I'm going to give like a general 8-foot cube. So hopefully they just excise that whole area and pull that out.
Yeah. I think this will go ahead and roll me command. I think this is standard risky still.
Okay.
I expect you to succeed. Okay. I almost said that too quickly. Well, oh, and I forgot to say you should have had one less die because didn't you burn your hand?
Oh.
But
No, remember?
Oh, that's right. You resisted that. Never mind.
Yep.
Just kidding. Sorry. But I think it's no problem at all. You are able to get them to start excising this, but it's a little bit slow going, and you feel like the more that this situation dies down, the less control you have over making a play. And so they are beginning to sort of kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch. They're like pulling this slide up and down to get some of the material out. But you are still kind of like on a tight leash at the moment.
I think seeing that this process has started and we're seeing how it works, whatever the way to keep it going is and whatever else in case everybody leaves or something, I'm just going to try and trigger that alarm somewhere very far away from here if I can, and just I don't know how much control I have over it, but making it sound like there's more protesters here and they've got a bomb or something, and set off whatever big alarm bells I can.
Okay. Definitely a hack check. I don't know if anybody has the stress or resources to help you with this.
I can give one. I can give a stress. To be focusing social media presence and recording again. The camera is shedding a lens on what is happening over in Silo 1.
I'll spend 2 of my own, I think.
Sure. So you should be up to 3 dice, I believe.
Sure. +2. And is this what kind of?
This I think is because it's going to be a desperate position because you're using the cyber tools that you got detected on earlier. So it's going to be desperate. Great.
Cool.
I mean, it is a success. What I will say is that you let me see. You know that so through the act of setting off this alarm, you have sort of fooled the people in the immediate vicinity that like the people who are not connected to this system hear the alarms go off and they start to say, oh shit, we got to check that out. And they start to run out of the fence, not sort of like, not totally keeping their eyes off you, but you have a few moments, you and your party have a few moments to like figure out how to find this item before you start to get ushered out. But through the digital system, you are quite certain that an investigation has launched into where this alarm came from, and whoever's managing the cybersecurity knows that it was not legitimate. So you know that there's like a situation brewing and time is of the essence.
Fair.
All right.
There are. I was gonna say, if there are less eyes on us right now, I would love to be able to try to do some way witchery of it all, and like try to attune to the object, and like not saying that I have an ability that lets me move things with my mind. That if we need to do a real sneaky shove it in a bag, I'm more than happy to do so.
Okay. So I would say first thing is just sort of trying to locate it in this debris, this field of debris, of squash debris. So if you want to make well, first of all, rewinding, Oscar, because you did a desperate action, you do get a experience in insight because you did a hack.
Cool.
But Castar, if you want to go ahead and roll a tune, at this point you're not in desperate position because you're not kind of not, no eyes are on you on the social media front. But if you want to do a risky standard to try to find this. You do get the sense, I think as soon as you start to attune to it, you all see a blue glow emanating from this sort of pile of squash rubble, maybe just like 10 feet away from you. And as it was being excised, it sort of slid out, and because it's relatively dry, it sort of like didn't really like stack on itself very well. So there's sort of like a level surface of this dry squash, and you start to see an area of it start to turn from like a caramelized brown into a like deep blue glow. However, sort of in doing that, you see as even though these people are keeping very light eyes on, like even though they're trying to react to the situation with the alarm, you do see like one of them raises an eyebrow in the direction of the blue glow. One of the corpos.
Oh, that shouldn't be in there. Does one of you want to throw my suction arm in the direction of the blue glow and I'll remove the offending article?
Yeah, I mean, if no one else is...
Somebody do it. Yeah, go for it.
Well, Oscar, you're a strapping young man. Why don't you go ahead and take care of this here?
Sure. I will try and throw Rosie's hose arm at the item.
Is that how Rosie works? Like, I'm trying to figure out what kind of vacuum Rosie is.
I mean, the picture makes it look like the the suctiony bit is on a tube that's semi-detachable.
Yeah, fair. You could also just like roam over it, I suppose. I assume your actual feet are also vacuum, right?
Correct.
Okay. They're just both going to the same place.
I'll just stand a little bit away to look less conspicuous as my arm goes to pick up the blue item.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're getting help from Oscar.
Sure.
I'm going to say this is maybe just trying to like what would finding be? Not study. I'm gonna say this is scramble. It's just sort of like there's a glowing blue artifact that you know has killed somebody before, and you are trying to suck it up in a way that avoids like danger to yourself, knowing that it killed the last person it was inside of. Unless you have another idea of something it should be.
The scramble.
Okay. So you have +1 die. You could spend 2 stress to push yourself if you'd like.
I will push myself because picking this up feels important.
Okay.
And I also gave you a.
Oh yeah, I think you have. Yeah.
I don't have one more.
Just do /roll 1d6 in the chat, and we'll add that. Okay, so with the 5, you do find that this artifact, which you cannot see what it is just yet, but as your suction is going over this debris field, you feel sort of like the clanking of a hard foreign object going down your hose, and what you feel, I say you would suffer a level 2 harm unless you want to try to resist it, is that you're feeling overpowered, like you're running hot. Until you solve that problem, you'll have -1 die on future rolls.
I'm not sure I try to resist another one.
How close are you?
3 left. But they've also been helpful to help other people, so.
You also do, to be fair, I think harms can come and go for various reasons. You take stuff out of your cartridge all the time. It's not going to be hard to get rid of. You just probably need to do it back on the ship in a private spot.
Guys, this feels like a weird day to be filming here. Maybe we should get out of here, and maybe we'll come back another day.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to brand yourself with someone that has like limbs and they're squash.
No, I mean, honestly, I'm just like, I'm really rethinking this partnership. Did people see what just happened?
There was one engineer, but one corpo who had seen a blue glow, and then you were sort of like, that doesn't belong here, and sucked it up. So the optics of that have yet to be resolved.
Great. I would love to, knowing that odds are we would interact with this thing that glows bright blue, and need to find a stealthy way to go about it. I would love to try to set down without anyone noticing, and then pick up a very small ring light that has a blue tint that I planted in my bag, and just be like, oh shit, I dropped it. From roughly the same area, just to try to make it look like, yeah, we didn't pick up anything suspicious at all. That's crazy.
Okay, I think this is going to be more of a skulk roll, and I'm going to say it's just risky standard, to just sort of sell that.
I will. Can I do you trying to put down the actual ring light to do this maneuver? Can I give block the person looking over here and then move away as you pick it up?
Yeah, totally.
Can I? Okay. I will add a stress.
And you could push yourself as well if you would like. You're muted, sorry.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
That's +2 or what?
Yes, one from help, one from push. You guys have like you guys just don't roll sixes apparently, but
Nope.
No, apparently not.
You do successfully do this, and the corpo looks away, but you just find yourself in a desperate position going forward because you know that one more eyebrow raising maneuver and people are going to really wonder what the hell you guys are doing here. But you exit the perimeter. You're sort of getting apology after apology from the engineers being like, we have to go look into this reactor meltdown and figure out what's happening, and we'll come back and investigate this. Melina will be in touch with you to sort of talk about strategy, I'm sure. But we've got to go. You should probably maybe come back another day.
We'll just follow you on out, sir. I mean, we've already seen quite a bit. We've got quite a bit of footage. We'll follow up with Melina, but do you mind if we just walk with you? Because maybe we'll catch something with this other reactor here, for footage. But...
we would prefer if you turn the cameras off, actually.
Fair enough.
We'll head right back to our ship. Let's.
Yeah, maybe,
I mean, I think we got all the
yes.
material that we need, and I don't feel super comfortable being in a space where there's both a potential reactor explosion and the stifling of my creative freedom. So,
Okay.
let's book it, guys. Thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful opportunity. I hope it doesn't blow up.
You guys make your way back on the ship. You take off, and you sort of exit the scene. With all of the stress that has been mounting and all of the everything that has been mounting, you guys do have a chance to investigate the artifact before we sort of enter the final stage of the mission, which is the downtime activities. But pulling Rosie open and emptying her bag, you find what looks like a kind of like some kind of compound or mixture between metal and stone in the shape of it sort of has the size of a small keyboard. We'll just say it fit in Rosie. I don't know how big her tubes are, but and it has a sort of it doesn't seem to be mechanical or electronic in any way, but it does seem to be sort of in a weird shape of an abacus that is glowing blue with beads that are on these rods that are sort of like vibrating in place. And you now have this way artifact. What you choose to do with it, if you choose to try and bring it back to the Corporate Confederacy for the 10 cred, or if you want to keep it for yourself, or if you want to try to find a buyer, I would ask you that right now. Is there sort of like, what do you imagine doing with this artifact?
I mean, your girl's vice is weird. I want to commune. If we part ways, whatever. I'm gonna try to commune with it and figure out what the fuck is going on with it.
Yeah, seems like we should at least know what it is before we.
You're not gonna destroy it, are you?
No, it's more just like a vibe check. It might destroy me, but like that'd make good content. So.
Oh. Okay.
What I'm going to ask is for you to roll a tune. Feel free to take dice if you want them, but what I'm going to tell you is that it is a risky position, and it's risky standard. You're just not sure what to expect.
Do you want any of my illicit drugs before you do this?
I would like to be in the presence of the illicit drugs. I don't need to consume them, but just to know that if I need to escape my body in other ways, that they're there.
Cool. I've got them if you need them, apparently.
So yeah, in front of her, as she examines this glowing abacus, is a deck of tarot cards and a bunch of drugs, and I think that's great.
All right, go ahead and roll a tune.
So that'll.
And is this a full tarot reading, or is this just you're like connecting to it?
No sixes. We'll do a full tarot.
These tarots are. I might end up. I'm gonna lean on you to describe what the cards are, because I think it's just really hard for me to get my headspace in there.
So the first one is the King of Pentacles. Is the pass. It's a king holding a pentagram with the scepter in it, and that's pretty fun. The present is the Ace of Cups reversed, which means a disruption in emotional fulfillment and lack of harmony. And the future is more pentacles, but this time there's 8 of them, and it's a sculptor making them.
Sorry, I may have misspoke. I'm going to need you to interpret what these cards mean as well. I'm just going to give you what the attunement is, and you can flavor that to your liking.
I got you.
Yeah, because I can't keep up with it. But so what you glean from the reading is that this is an artifact that when you know that in the hands of the corporate confederacy, they would use it to control the people by keeping them from exploring other star systems. I think it's Tenebrialis or whatever I called it. This star system is wholly under the control of the corporate confederacy, and is sort of used to keep everybody buying hot dogs and soda and buying the new latest tech through these like very controlled and regimented planets to keep their brands alive. But this abacus, you recognize that what it can do is that it's sort of like a decoder to sort of like the faster than light gateways, which are also like which are the few way artifacts that are allowed to be used for transportation purposes. But this would actually allow you, if you knew how to use it, to decode the gateways and travel to other star systems. So the corporate confederacy would want it as a means of destroying it or keeping other people from having it. And I think that just sort of what I would say is the complication that you suffer is this other mechanic called heat, which kind of just dictates how wanted you are in the star system. The more heat you get, the more people that are going to be chasing after you. And through attuning to this, you know that it sent a way signature throughout the stars, and that anybody who can track that way signature to your ship will know that you have it and that you used it. So you have 2 heat as a result of using this artifact.
So, this thing's cool as fuck. It lets you go places you could never go before. Also, because I interacted with it, it sent, I don't know how to describe it other than just like a mass text out to everybody being like, hey, you're here and you have this artifact. We might not want to be here anymore. Just some advice. We should like move. We should like go like now.
So is it going to constantly tell them where we're at, or is it just right now it told them where we're at?
I think it was in this current moment in that I interacted with it and it
Oscar,
like
let's spin
it
them up.
sent notifications.
Remember that slow space? Slow? Yeah. Forget everything I said. Just go.
Sure thing. Oscar will drive very fast.
You're not actively being chased. You just know that like it's sort of like there's an energy signature in your ship right now that sort of just people know that you have it, or they may know that you have it if they scanned you. Sort of is what this means. But the question stands: do you keep it? Do you try to find a different buyer, or do you give it to the Confederacy for the 10 cred?
Do I have an idea, being a gambler, how much I think I could get for it in some of the places I may know?
I mean, if you were to gamble it, you could double your money, but
Yeah, I'm not gonna gamble it, but just like from the people
Yeah.
I socialize with and everything else, like do I have a feeling I could double, triple, quadruple it, or do I think 10 cred's probably a...
I think this is in black market territory for this sort of artifact, and you think people will pay a premium for it. You could probably, I would say like you could sell it for 12 cred, if not 14 cred with a successful set of rolls, which is that's like a year's worth of living. It's considerable. And if you get the right buyer, you could maybe even get more, but for the time being.
Partners,
I'm down for a black market sale.
I could always reach out to some contacts, see what they got brewing, see what we can do.
I mean, that seems like a lot of infinity fuel stock that we could buy with extra.
See? Oscar, young man, you're coming around. Now you see what I'm talking about. You see how this kind of, it amplifies upon itself, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And the next thing you know, you're retiring like a rich man.
All right. So for the purposes of the mission, we're going to say it has been complete. And you will not get any money for this, but you are basically holding on to something that's worth a lot of money. So should you find a way to hawk it later, you'll be in for a big payday. But now is a part of the game that is downtime activities. You have a variety of things that you can do. I'm sorry, this is one of the areas of the game that I'm least familiar with, so I'm trying to look it up really quick. One of them there's a craft thing, but I think I'm just gonna not let you guys do that because there's nothing to craft at the moment. You can't acquire assets because you don't really have any money. So you can indulge your vices, you can lay low, you can work on a long-term project, you can recover, which recovering would be focused on your harms versus indulging your vices, which is focused on your stress. And then you can repair and train. Repair would be if your ship took damage. So I'm going to type out the things that you can do to just sort of summarize those really quick.
In a given downtime, can you just do one of these things, or?
Oops, I did it as Harv. Each of you can do 2 of these things.
We do 2 of the same thing.
I believe so. What I will say is if you're trying to get rid of this stress, keep in mind that if you overindulge in your vice by removing more than you possibly can, there are consequences to that as well.
Understood.
So So you'd kind of do one at a time if you'd like. So maybe as an example, it sounds like you want to indulge a vice.
Absolutely. Right now, whether you consider it gambling or not, I am shorting some stocks.
So this is similar. So you're. It's hard to describe this, but you're very good at resolve, Harvey, but you're not as good at insight and prowess. And your vices target the things that you're not good at. So you're going to roll insight or prowess as a resistance roll, and instead of gaining stress, it sort of is the opposite. The amount that you roll is how much you clear stress. So you're rolling one die, either insight or prowess, it's the same.
Yeah.
And you clear 3 stress. Now, so you could choose to use your second downtime to
And I will
do this again if you'd like.
We'll stick with prowess too. See what we get.
Okay.
It's gonna say anything
Cleared
but a
2 more
6.
stress. So you're still
How far past the amount of stress that we have will something bad happen?
I mean, if you're essentially at -1, then something bad will happen.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm gonna cook everybody some delicious I don't know, squash raviolis
Okay.
as
Uh-huh.
my vice. I like cooking for some reason.
sure. So for you, you would be forced to roll either insight or resolve because those are your 2 lowest saving throws.
Sure. I'll do. I don't think it matters. Insight.
Sure. So you clear 5, and you're good.
I'm glad I didn't roll any higher.
So for your other one, I would probably say, if you lay low, that could be a means of reducing the heat on your team for having this artifact. If you do a long-term project, it sort of is up to you. Like, we'll start a clock on if you were trying to like make something, or you're trying to do something that you want to do, then you can do that. Or you can train, which is that you would just get 1 experience point in any of these things that you get experience points. So you could get like 1 experience point in insight, prowess, or resolve.
Can I wait and see what everybody else does?
Sure.
And then pick that last one?
Who's up next then?
I make my way to the cockpit and just go really detail cleaning around all the baseboards, all of the making sure the carpets are great, but also that there's no dust on the walls, that the surfaces are cleared off. And I will indulge my vice.
Very good. So for you, that would be a insight or resolve. Okay, 4. So you're at 2 stress.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with my 2 stress, and I will.
I should say the overindulge, the bad things that can happen if you overindulge, just because I feel like I left that out. So there's three things that could happen. 2 of them I don't really like. One of them is a rash action, which is basically like you would clean so much that you spend a bunch of money on like really detailed cleaning supplies in this case, or like if it was Harv, he would gamble too much of his money away. One of them is lost, where where you would take your character away for a week, right? You would play a different character, which I don't really like that because I like developing these characters personally. The one that you would actually probably suffer from if you did overindulge is that you would brag about your exploits, which would mean at some point you as a vacuum cleaner would just start like throughout all the cleaning. At some point, you would maybe there'd be like a hot microphone somewhere, and you would generate heat as a result. Like somebody would pick up on the fact that you guys are up to no good. So you still have one more action, but that would be the consequence if you do end up overindulging.
I think play low.
Okay.
It's almost a disadvantage to have both of your things have 2 dice, because then it's likely that you have a higher chance of over-rolling
Yes.
in this case.
We have a higher chance of getting rid of more stress.
Yeah, but if you only have 2, and
You roll a 6 and a 2, then you have to do 6. Yeah, I think this game is like maybe I'll double check that roll. Maybe you get to choose which one you want. But I think it's sort of like a tug of war of your stress. Like it's really rare that any character is stress free. But if you lay low, say what your character does to reduce the heat, and then roll the appropriate action. So, what does laying low look like for Rosie?
I think you're muted. Or
There you go.
sorry.
you just
Oh,
your
now I
audio
hear
wasn't
you.
coming through for a second. Now it is.
I could do on the ship to like reduce the heat on us. I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, it could. You have a point in hack, so you could just sort of like, try to hack into the watch list mainframe or something, and doctor the reports that your ship may have this artifact.
Although, maybe not. I'm gonna hold off on doing anything else until later, because that feels like it's gonna backfire, and maybe doing nothing is the best choice.
You could just train then. You could get an experience point in something.
I'll do that.
Okay. So just mark an XP under Insight, Prowess, or Resolve.
I will say in the future, one of my abilities, if anyone decides to recover, if they have a harm, you get a +1 dice.
Does anybody?
It's also a reminder for myself.
Does anybody have a harm? I'm taking away overpowered because we already got the artifact out of Rosie. But does anybody have a harm?
I don't think so.
Castar, what is your downtime?
So my vice is weird. And performing strange experiments, exploring the way, and so on. Which does absolutely take the form of so many tarot readings, both for everyone around the ship, unsolicited, without consent given. Sometimes that may actually peek into traumas that you don't want me to know about, and sometimes are just random guesses. As well as lots of like one-on-one social media, one-on-one flip-flop readings, where someone just gives me their star chart and then I do a tarot based off of it. And there's a lot of just like, bad vibes, and nothing more specific.
What would you like that to look like action-wise as well?
It's probably either a tune or sway.
Oh, sorry. I meant like, like, so you're indulging your vice. Oh,
Yes.
sorry. Yeah, you already said that. So actually, it would have to be insight or prowess because you're.
Oh yes, sorry.
Yeah.
That I think they are the same thing for me, so they're both bad. So insight it shall be. Yeah.
The tarot readings are giving you very bad vibes. It's not very comforting.
Such bad vibes. Do I want to? work on a long-term project or take off more stress. Yeah, I think I would probably do a second. There'd be even more tarot readings. So I'm not doing as much squash social media content as I would like to be doing now. But
All right, roll high this time.
oh, no, or only certain so high. Okay, that's fine.
Fair.
There we go.
All righty. Who hasn't gone?
I have not. So I will. I'm trying to find a way to figure out how to lay low, but as the person as I am, I'm finding it difficult. I will train for one of my points. And what do I want to put it in? I'll put it in. There we go. And oh god, I don't want to indulge vice. I don't want to risk that. So
You don't want to brag about your exploits on accident?
people will be very afraid about the stuff I brag about. So it will just make things worse. I will train twice.
Okay. What's left? Who hasn't spent 2? I think Oscar, you had one more.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say I have one more. I think since somebody else said, I'll try and lay low, and I'll just take the ship on a weird off route and try and I don't know, reduce our heat signature or something. Keep us off the radar.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and roll helm, then.
Oh, ooh, I'm good at that.
So ignoring the text in there, the way it works is you're reducing heat by an amount based on the dice roll. So rolling 1 to 3 is -1 heat, 4 to 5 is 2 heat, and 6 is 3 heat. So by laying low, you've essentially wiped away your heat from 2 to 0. I think like it's probably you spend a few extra days out of space without coaching people as well to not touch the artifact for a while, and eventually nobody really knows what happened to it. Well, I think that is all of that. The last thing to do is to award some experience points for folks. You're unlikely to reach enough experience points such that you will level up anything this session. The way experience points works, like if your insight, for example, gets all the way to max, then you will be able to put 1 point into an insight stat, whether that's doctor, hack, rig, or study. Additionally, it's only visible if you click into your abilities and not your like loadout friends. But if you click into abilities, you'll see playbook experience points. If that fills up, then you get a new ability. So we will first give people some playbook experience points, which is based on, it's your own opinion, but if you exercised your heritage background and sorry, let me look that up really quick. I'm failing at this on the spot. I can retroactively do more later if you're supposed to get more, but I think if you exercise your heritage or background in what you think would be like a meaningful way, then you get a playbook experience points for it. If you did it a lot, like multiple times, then you would get 2 experience points for that. So for example, if I were to sort of say this, Castar's background is cult, which is just sort of like social media following. which was used a lot this session. So I think you would get 2 experience points for cults. So it's sort of up to you to interpret your various things to determine how much experience points you're getting. Additionally, if you can mark experience points for insight, prowess, or resolve. If you felt you used it at least once, then you, like if you used hack at least once, then you would get 1 experience point in insight. If you used hack and study, you would still only get 1. But if there's something you used a lot of, which I would say, like, again, attuning was used a lot, and hacking was used a lot for Oscar. And I think command or sway was used a lot for Harv. So I think you would be able to mark 2 experience points in those as well.
I'm just gonna give 1 in playbook and 1 in resolve. Done.
You can give, to be clear, you can give yourself points in all categories if you think you did them. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I want to be honest with myself. Maybe I'll write down what rolls I do while we play, just so at the end of it I can like determine what to put experience on.
Fair. You can scroll up if you wanted to. I mean, there's a lot of rolls, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that, just so I can be honest with myself.
Fair enough.
But I did 1 on playbook and 1 on prowess because it's cool.
And you can also, like, the placeholder text for some of these things, like you are wanderer under your heritage. It's sort of up to you to spin that in whatever way actually makes sense for you. But like you don't have to take it word as written. It's just sort of like if you behave like somebody who is otherworldly, I would say wanderer makes sense. But I think that is the game. That's sort of how it goes. You have a sort of like a mission briefing at the beginning. You have a approach to the mission. You resolve the mission, and then you do downtime. I guess there's one last thing. Were those videos, those social media videos, were any of them live?
No, I think some of the earlier social media of like just in the fields of it all, just kind of fucking around, yes. But like once we got to the silo, I think I want control over that narrative much more. So a lot recorded, none live.
Okay. Is there anything during this downtime that you publish?
Yes. And yeah, I would not say it's like the long form work or
Is it good or is it bad for Infinity Fuel?
I think it's good. I don't think it makes them look bad. I think it is a lot of like dramatic. It's like dramatic hair flipping with a lot of just really sexy close-up shots of squash. And like a chill beats to study to in the background, and some me just gently whispering like fuel squash to like a quiet club beat, and then by the end there's a little bit of an ad.
ASMR marketing. Okay.
Yeah, ASMR marketing 100%.
All right, stocks go up. See what that means ever. Okay, well, for now. If you had exploded the silo, that would have been fun as well, but you chose not to.
Right.
Okay, well, that's it. I hope that it's making sense. I am open to feedback if people want to message me things. I know that like this is sort of a try it, see how it goes game. So I will. Are folks free next Monday to play again? April
It's the
1st.
day after Easter.
True. Yes. I'm off, so I'm fine.
I think I'm also off. Also, April Fool's Day.
Whoa. I am free.
I think I'm free.
I should be free.
Okay. Oh well, this is the type of game where if people miss out, then they just stay on the ship, and that's fine. So, okay. Well, we will leave it there, and I'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Talk to y'all later.
Bye, everyone.